When I reach 1000 subscribers I will be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card away. To enter, like, subscribe and leave a comment below. Posted by u/imadalatifuslitter. EM steals my costume from Disney World while badly pretending that she was helping us move and asks if we want it back. So, this happened when I was around 6 or 7 at the time. Because of my fuck up of an ARC father, we ended up having to move out of our close-knit religious neighborhood. At the time, we were all Orthodox Jews. And of course, we have neighbors and friends of the family who came over and were helping us out. Not with the moving part, because my mom doesn't help anyone move, so that she doesn't have to help anyone in the future. They were just over helping to clean up, organize a little, or watching my siblings and I. Some even came over to keep my mom company while she packed. We didn't have a lot of people in and out, except for EM, who kept coming over to help you pack. So much that guests in our house would tell her to go home. This EM has been known to be kinda off. We know that she liked a lot of our stuff, especially mine, and was also constantly trying to one-up us by using her own spawns, who became really nice people BTW. At this point, no one is sure as to why she wants to help so bad, even though my mother told her that no one gets to help her pack. But, in order to maybe lessen M's visits, my mom lets her in for some coffee and to help move a couple boxes. M goes straight for our basement and demands that we open the already taped up boxes so that she can make sure that they are packed right. My mom very obviously tells her no and leaves to go upstairs for something. EM comes up from the basement and suddenly leaves. My mom goes back to the basement and finds that she ripped open the boxes anyway. They were filled with Halloween costumes, some of them taken out and laid on top of things. My mother didn't see anything stolen, and because we were running out of time to move, she rotates the boxes and goes on with the rest of her to-do list. No one thought she would steal, because that goes against Jewish law and everyone is cutthroat Orthodox. We knew she was weird, so we thought she just wanted to look at our shit. After we move and unpack everything, my mom finds that there was only one costume missing. It was mine. A Minnie Mouse costume dress my mother bought me from Disney World while in the park when I was 4. It has a lot of sentimental value to her, and I have fond memories of it. EM actually called us after we moved, states to tell us that she took it and gave it to her daughter. Mom, so you kept coming over just to steal from me? EM, do you want it back or? We never got it back. Posted by u/ThoughtPatrolOfficial. Entitled, parents think that because they have a stroller, they can be first in line to the monorails at the happiest place in the world. This takes place after a long day at Disney World on the 4th of July while getting into the monorails. So it was packed with entitled parents. Cast: EM, entitled mother, ED, entitled father, me, my mother, my father. We were visiting the Magic Kingdom on Independence Day, so it was pretty crowded. After the fireworks show ended, everyone started leaving the park as there was nothing else to do. It got so crowded that Main Street was closed since so much people were trying to get out. We got out of the park safely and went towards the area where the monorails are to get back to the parking lot. In this area, the tracks are separated by gates across the platform the length of a door. While us 3 were able to get to the front of one of these gates. In comes EM and ED was the one with a stroller. As they come pushing through people without saying excuse me or sorry, they get to where we are, and the ED tries to get in front of us by pushing the stroller through where we were. My mother is the type of person to not take shit from anyone, so she immediately tells him to stop. My father though is the type of person to let things go as he's real easygoing, so he just doesn't want to intervene. EM argues about how, since I have a stroller with me, I should be first to get to the monorail, while Ed still tries to push the stroller through us. As the monorail approaches and stops, the gate opens, and we start getting inside. As we start getting in, the Ed is still trying to push the stroller through us, while EM starts getting a lot closer to us, while yelling insults at us. My mom, completely pissed off now, goes off on these 2, telling them to not even try to push through us, and to not lay a finger on us at all. We luckily get inside first and sit down. If you don't know, This monorail stops at the Contemporary Resort before it gets to the parking lot, so it was an awkward, sort of longer ride. I was looking out of the window while the ED kept staring at me specifically for some reason, so when I looked back at him, he turned his head back down to his phone. Finally, after what seemed like forever, we leave the monorail and start heading towards the stairs/elevator area. I, being so baffled and thinking how hilarious this was, start exclaiming about how entitled they were. They heard and started giving us the most evil look I've seen in a while. TL, DR, EM and DD want to cut to the front of the line where my family was because they had a stroller. We don't let them. Altercation ensues and they don't get in the monorail first. Posted by u/iftashafits. If you cut in line at Disney World, you're going to have a bad time. This is a little different than most of the ep stories you read about here, in that it was a pretty passive experience from my point of view. About 10 years ago, before my wife and I got married, I took her on a vacation that included a few stops in Florida. She had never been to Walt Disney World, so I took her there for a few days. For those of you who have never been to a Disney park, they have something they call Fast Pass to help with the crazy long lines that the popular rides always have. In a nutshell, each morning you have the ability to reserve specific times you want to ride, something like 3 rides that day. You show up at the ride at the allotted time, and you enter through a special Fast Pass line. A Disney employee confirms you signed up for Fast Pass at that time, then merges you into the front of the main line. The last day, that of our trip, we had seen pretty much everything we had wanted to see and had used up all our Fast Passes for the day. We decided that we wanted to try one last ride that was incredibly popular. The line for it was estimated to be 2 hours long, but since we had time to kill, we got into line and waited. The line was very well behaved, and over the course of the 2-hour wait you got to recognize the people all around you. Parents would duck out of line to take a kid to the bathroom, then work their way back to their spot in line. Folks and kids would strike up conversations with one another, and so on. It didn't occur to me at the time, but looking back I realized that during the entire 2 hours we were crawling through the line, I don't recall seeing a single Disney employee anywhere other than way up front where the Fast Pass line merged in with the main line. After almost 2 hours we were finally about 5 minutes away from merging with the Fast Pass line and reaching the ride itself. All of a sudden a woman tapped me on the shoulder and asked me what time it was. It was a woman I didn't recognize at all from the previous 2 hours in line, and she had 2 kids about 6 and 8 years old that I didn't recognize either. She ended up directly in front of us and tried to strike up conversations a few times with both me and my wife and the people directly in front of her. Neither my wife nor I are very confrontational, so we didn't question where she came from and just continued waiting in line. When we finally reached the point where the Fast Pass lane merged with the main line, there was a rather young female employee working there. She didn't look like she could have been more than 20 years old, was rather petite, and seemed rather quiet as well. I noticed a few people coming down the Fast Pass line at this point, and the employee held the main line at EP and her kids to let them go ahead. After those Fast Pass people got into line, the employee continued to hold our line. She apologized and simply said something about there being a slight delay. Over the next few minutes 1 or 2 other groups came down the Fast Pass lane, and the employee let them pass onto the ride while continuing to hold up our line. She seemed rather uncomfortable holding up our line, but continued to do so. A couple minutes later another Disney employee emerged from a side door that I hadn't even noticed until he appeared. He spoke quietly to the EP for a minute, then escorted her and her 2 kids through the door and closed it behind him. Once EP and her kids were gone, the employee managing the line asked my wife and I if we knew her or had seen her before. We confirmed to her that we only saw her for the first time about 5 or 10 minutes earlier and had no idea where she came from. At that point the employee apologized profusely for holding us up and let us onto the ride. So the moral of the story: just because you may never see any Disney employees while standing in line for a ride, it doesn't mean they are not watching you. When I reach 1,000 subscribers I will be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card away. To enter, like, subscribe and leave a comment below.